Lauren Chen recently came out in favor of fundamentalist Islam hating LGBTQ people. She didn't quite word it that way, but don't worry. We'll get into things. You'll have the context that you need. The first one we have here is from Mathematical Cabbage. I will spray whatever I want. It's marking my territory. You know, sometimes the things I say on stream get memed. I'm kind of okay with that. The next one we have here is from Raging Horse Girl. Said saw the Suris candy cuff on the Steven Crowder video, so I wanted to make a slime Suris cuff, but I don't have enough purple perler beads. I think I'll make a pearl of the hammer though. And here it is. Turns out I have some transparent purple too, so I'll make a little slime boy too. So I guess that is going to be coming at some point. Well, actually, no, the next thing says the slime boy looked like shit, so I destroyed it. So that's not happening. But thank you all for your fan art submission. Oh, wait, no, we're not done. We normally show 3 of them. So I figure I may as well go ahead and show you guys this last one from Smacko. But we'll make it a little bit differently. Oh, look, Suris fan art. It would be a shame if... Whoop! Yeah, now it's Neko coin art. Oh. Turn it back. Turn it back. Turn it back. That is a very angry Neko Suris. Oh, Suris, don't you understand? The more you want me gone, the stronger I become. I will never be able to escape coin fan art because y'all just keep on doing this shit. This is the full piece. If y'all want to screenshot that or take it from the fan art section and voice it over and stuff, you do you. You do you. I'm tired. As always, everybody, thank you for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it onto the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, let's go ahead and get into the video after you subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and cry. Ah!
In here, let's talk about progressive imperialism. As we all know by now, one of the
progressive imperialism, that's a word. Let's go ahead and raise her volume because apparently none of my volume is set correctly right now.
Most commonly cited criticisms of Western cultures and countries by progressives is that they are imperialist and colonialist. According to progressives, North American and European countries and people in general should be ashamed at how historically they've gone out to other countries, specifically containing indigenous brown people, and tried to force their way of life upon other people. And
it's not so much just forcing way of life. It's usually mostly about erasing their culture. It's usually mostly about erasing the things that are important to them. Many times things that are considered non-toxic to their culture. But let's go ahead and continue.
And they've not respected the traditions and customs of communities of color, which, by the way, are equally as valid. And overall, just from progressive...
No tradition, none, no tradition is equally valid. If your tradition involves harming people, it's not equally valid. And if you are the type of progressive in my audience that thinks otherwise, give me a good argument why I'm wrong, and I will be perfectly happy to laugh at you. Anyway...
Progressives, we hear a lot of complaints about how Eurocentric American values and ideals can be, which is not fair because we need to take into account the feelings and the practices of non-white people. Now,
yeah, we do need to take into account. That's a measured take into account.
Even though we hear that stuff from progressives all the time, I've always thought it was hypocritical because you'd be hard-pressed to find a whiter and more Eurocentric outlook than progressivism itself. I mean, it's not like there are huge bastions of progressivism in Africa, Asia, or the Middle East, which we will be discussing today. Because anyone who's been paying attention knows that there is nothing progressives love more than forcing other people to live by their own rules and their own way of thinking, which is
usually the rules that most progressives are going to try to force on you are preventing you from harming other people. That's usually it.
not very anti-imperialist when you think of it, but we've actually been seeing this behavior just on full display when it comes to FIFA's World Cup, which just so happens to be hosted this year in Qatar, or Qatar, for those of you who did not minor in Middle East studies like I did. But anyway, something you likely know, even if you're not super familiar with Qatar, is the fact that it is a Muslim country. And understandably, in a Muslim country, a lot of things that Islam forbids, such as, I don't know, homosexuality or premarital sex, those practices are, let's just say, frowned upon at the very least. But so right now, because of the World Cup, which is this huge event, you have a lot of non-Muslim people visiting this Muslim country. And I think the approach that most people, from what I've seen, are taking, and this is exactly what I would do too, is understanding that, hey, you are a guest, you are a mere tourist in this country, and basically, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, which...
No, that is not how that works. If there is a direct... Why did it immediately go to her fucking thing?
Which is that even...
I just wanted to pause. No, I disagree with that logic entirely. When in Rome is for menial things, like where to go eat or how to comport yourself in a crowd. When in Rome is not for things like homophobia. If you are in an area with a bunch of people being incredibly homophobic or racist or otherwise problematic, that doesn't mean do that thing as well. That's not what that means at all. If you think that's what it means, again, please tell me in the comments section, and I will be perfectly fine to laugh at why you're wrong. If you want to be the type of person that goes, well, everybody else around me is being racist, why shouldn't I? We have a thing called argumentum ad populum. We have a lovely little fallacy for explaining why that type of mentality is, well, incorrect to say the least. But... said, when in Rome, take slaves, like the Romans did. Yeah, totally. That's what you do. Take all the slaves.
Even if, for example, you love, I don't know, eating a lot of pork, if you're visiting Qatar, you should probably realize that, hey, maybe this is not the best time or place to do that.
I mean, where are you going to buy pork in Qatar? Just curious. Where are you going to buy it?
To be respectful to your host country. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to agree with the practice of not eating pork, but hey, this is not your house, it's not your rules. But you see, that's not the approach progressives have taken. Because you see, I guess the rainbow...
That's because most people who are progressive are more reasonable and they realize that values held because of tradition don't mean shit.
Mafia is so used to absolutely ruling with an iron fist in Western countries, they are...
The LGBTQ mafia ruling with an iron fist, what does that look like to you, Lauren? Because when the LGBTQ mafia rules with an iron fist, people magically get more freedoms? They are able to live and love as they choose? Weird that. Strange that.
Are just totally confused and really outraged that there would actually be a place left on the planet, specifically Qatar in this case, that would not bend the knee to them. So we've been seeing a lot of...
Bend the knee. As if when you ask somebody not to be homophobic, you're trying to make them bend the knee.
Interesting friction between the LGBT community and basically the entirety of the Middle East and Islam online. So even before the World Cup actually happened, because it's being hosted in Qatar, there was leading up to it already a lot of discussion about whether people felt comfortable supporting a country that has a spotty human rights record, to say the least. Because even if we put aside things like its treatment of gays and women, it's also essentially a country that's been built by, I guess, indentured servitude would be the politically correct way of saying it. Some people might call it, though, just outright slave labor. Yeah, Qatar.
I mean, yeah, that you hit the nail on the head, Lauren. This is one of the reasons why we tend to be a little bit conservative, I guess would be the word, with our support of countries like that. Just, you know, No.
Qatar has a lot of problems as a country, and I'm not meaning to gloss over or excuse any of that with this
You totally kind of did.
video. However, I do find it interesting that the main point of contention people have had with Qatar that I've seen, at least on Twitter and other social media sites, has been its treatment of homosexuals. And actually, leading up to the World Cup, the LGBT lobby has been making such a fuss about it being hosted in Qatar that even back in December of 2020, it was reported that, quote, rainbow flags would be allowed in stadiums at the 2022 World Cup after Qatar said it would comply with FIFA rules promoting tolerance and inclusion. At the time, the Associated Press reported that concerns persisted about the treatment facing gay fans in Qatar due to the conservative religious code prohibiting same-sex relations that conflict with FIFA's stance against homophobia. And FIFA did say it was determined to push Qatar on staging a tournament that is inclusive. And for their part, Qatar's World Cup leadership did offer FIFA the assurances that displays promoting LGBTQ rights would not be removed. But of course, despite those concessions, anti-discrimination activists apparently want Qatar to go further by changing actual laws.
Yeah, duh. What's the duh? Like, what? Where's the question here? Oh boy, you were perfectly fine showing a rainbow yesterday. Now I want you to stop killing gay people today? Oh my god! I'm the one being unreasonable. I'm so sorry for not allowing you your religious right to execute people for literally just existing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have all of the concern in the world, Lauren.
So that was the line in 2020. However, fast forward to earlier this year before the World Cup actually started, and already you could see that despite Qatar's, I'm sure, desire to present a modern face to the world, they were already starting to chafe with the idea of having to go against their Islamic values just in order to host this soccer match.
Yeah. If your values require diminishing the existence of somebody over something as menial as the people they love consensually, who have the ability to consent back. Because I know there's that one person in my audience who really likes kids, who really needs to go seek help, and who really needs to not fucking comment about 13-year-olds consenting, because holy fucking shit, seek help. Anyway, that little bit of, if you ever wanted evidence that I read my comment section, there it is. There it is. But, past that, if you are going to say that somebody who is just loving other people consensually and them loving them back consensually, and that is your bar for saying they should die, they should be, you know, alivented, then my position is that I stopped giving a shit about where your values came from. Oh, they're deeply held sincere religious values? Prove to me your God is real, and then we will have a deep and concerning conversation about the amount of people he's apparently killed. Just gonna go full back into edgy atheism for a little bit. Just a little bit. If you think your God wants people dead, please demonstrate the God am real before I even halfway consider your opinion on other people's lives.
As the AP once more reported in April of this year, rainbow flags could be taken from fans at the World Cup in Qatar to protect them from being attacked for promoting gay rights, a senior leader overseeing security for the tournament told the Associated Press. Major General Abdulaziz Abdullah Al Ansari insisted that LGBTQ couples would be welcomed and accepted in Qatar for the November to December FIFA showpiece, despite same-sex relations remaining criminalized in the conservative Gulf nation. But Al Ansari is against the overt promotion of LGBTQ freedoms as symbolized by the rainbow flag that FIFA and World Cup organizers had previously said would be welcome across Qatar's 8 stadiums.
Get over it. Religious snowflakery is still snowflakery.
If a fan raised the rainbow flag and I took it from him, it's not because I really want to really take it to really insult him, but to protect him, Al Ansari told the AP. Because if it's not me, somebody else around him might attack him.
If it's not me harming you, it'll be somebody else, so it might as well be me.
I cannot guarantee the behavior of the whole people, and I will tell him, please, no need to really raise that flag at this point. And he also said, you want to demonstrate your views about the LGBTQ situation.
Nagibri, thank you for resubscribing, and at tier 2 no less.
situation, demonstrate it in a society where it will be accepted, he said. We realize that this man got the ticket, comes here to watch the game, not to demonstrate a political act or something which is in his mind. Watch the game, that's good, but don't really come in and insult the whole society because of this.
I'll insult your entire society. If your society diminishes the value of other human beings, your society deserves to be insulted. If I happen to be in your society while it's doing that, it deserves to be insulted. When America does that, it deserves to be insulted. People who value the social construct of a country annoy the fuck out of me.
And more recently, just in September, the issue of rainbow paraphernalia once more came up. As the New York Times wrote, quote, FIFA and World Cup organizers came under pressure on Wednesday from a group of European soccer federations who said they plan to have their captains wear armbands with a rainbow heart designed as part of an anti-discrimination campaign during international matches and at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And
Based. Do the presentation, do the thing that makes everybody have their eyes on you when everybody's going to have their eyes on you. Like, that's reasonable. This is the same thing as taking the knee against racism. People who are like, oh my god, but it's just at a sporting event. Yeah, because that's when people are watching. I'm sorry that your very important sports match was interrupted by, you know, a little bit of progressivism so that we can talk about people getting, you know, killed and how they shouldn't be killed and how criminalizing people for loving is stupid.
And it's interesting that even this article once more stated that Qatari officials have long said that all fans are welcome at the month-long tournament, but security officials there also warned supporters not to travel with the rainbow flag for their own safety. So the reason why I bring all of this up is just to give you guys context that going into this World Cup tournament, the rule has been that you can be gay or whatever, and you're still welcome to enjoy the matches as a fan. But the issue of wearing rainbow flags and trying to promote LGBTQ issues at the stadium, considering it's a Muslim country, yeah, it's controversial to say the least. Well, now,
yeah, again, it's so they're basically saying you can be gay but be quiet about it, and no, I don't think that people should do that. Not being quiet about being gay is what allows people to refocus and remember that sometimes there are places in the world that do not like gay people, and it puts global pressure on those places to change their laws and policy to be something less draconian. People should be allowed to be out about who they are and who they love, as long as the people who they are and who they love can ethically consent.
now the tournament is underway, and guess what? Tons of people and even entire organizations, they are kind of flying in the face of what Qatari officials have said they preferred and promoting LGBTQ topics.
Because their preference doesn't matter. I don't know how many times I have to say this. And there's gonna be somebody in my comment section who goes, well, their national culture. Nah. Fuck the culture. Don't care. Not a good reason. Culture is a socially constructed, ambiguous, vague-ass thing. Has nothing to do with the actual people who live in it. The culture, the traditions, all that stuff, it can be whatever the fuck you want it to be, but if it diminishes human life and human value, get the fuck rid of it. Simple. Super simple.
For example, Germany, they saw fit to send this Diversity Wins airplane to Qatar. And similarly, leading up to the World Cup, Team USA also debuted a rainbow logo replacing the American flag in order to show solidarity with the LGBTQ community. So once
Cool. Based. Awesome.
more, I will reiterate that Qatar has a lot of problems. It is very far from a Western liberal nation, even though I would say most Western nations are not liberal either, but that's besides the point. I just think it's interesting that despite the well-documented human rights issues that have occurred against migrant workers and
God, it's amazing the amount of time she goes like, well, despite the fact that Qatar is actually this place that harms a whole lot of people, I have to stand them very strong right now.
and women as a whole, clearly LGBT people, that's the group that everyone seems most concerned about, and I don't think that's a mistake here. And I know some people out
It's not that people are most concerned about it, it's that of all of the human rights violations you can lump on a country whose religion is Islam, the views about LGBTQ people are going to be the most prominent ones. That's just what happens. We don't fight all of our battles at the same time. Some of us choose our battles one by one.
out there might say, well, trying to stand for LGBT rights, that also includes women and any oppressed people because intersectionality. And it's like, no, don't try that. There's a reason why Team USA went in with a rainbow logo, not a pink logo for women or like a multicolored skin color logo for migrant workers. No, it's because this is all about gay rights. And I'm not even talking about just the legality.
So what's the issue with gay rights? You have to show me that this is bad. All you've said is, well, what about the black people? What about the other people? Again, we cannot fight all battles at once. Some of us choose battles one by one, and some corporations choose battles based on the thing that is going to add the most, that is going to put the most eyes on them. Don't explain to me the whataboutism. Explain to me why showing support for gay people is wrong. Show me that. Show me that part. Focus on that. Whataboutism is not an argument. Show me why the support for gay people and gay things is wrong. Do that part, or you haven't done your due diligence.
Of homosexuality. I think these people are upset that Qatar is just a conservative Muslim country. It bothers them that they're not on board with things like, I'm going to go so far as to say, yeah, drag queen story hour. And so they're throwing a tantrum because Qatar will not bend the knee.
It's not a tantrum. It's asking for basic human rights to be given across the board. That's all. Drag queen story hour has nothing to do with this.
By the way, when it comes to individual fans trying to enter stadiums with rainbow attire, it seems like by and large, they are being turned away. As this one story explains, Laura McAllister, a gay woman and past FIFA Council candidate, said she was told she could not wear the hat for Wales opener against the USA, which by the way is a rainbow hat. Ms. McAllister said she then smuggled the hat into the stadium. And in another report, an account called World Cup Updates on Twitter noted that some Welsh fans were refused entry into the stadium tonight until they gave up their rainbow-colored bucket hat. And in one viral post, someone named Grant Wall wrote, "Just now, security guard refusing to let me into the stadium for USA Wales. You have to change your shirt. It's not allowed." And so now this issue, from what I've seen, has kind of divided the internet. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if some of you guys don't agree with my take on this, but
I don't.
I actually support the Qatari officials in this. I feel
yeah, who would have thought that Lauren Chen would come out in support of the country that criminalizes people for being gay? Who is surprised that Lauren Chen comes out in support of a country that criminalizes LGBTQ people? Who is surprised about that? Who is surprised that Lauren Chen comes out in favor of the people who have a history of human rights violations? Who is surprised?
I feel like if you actually wanted to raise awareness about the state of human rights in Qatar,
then you do it in Qatar when the most eyes possible will be on you. That is when and how you do it.
which again is about more than just LGBT people, you probably should have boycotted the event like other people I saw online were doing.
And that would have done nothing, because all you would have done is freed up seats for other people to come in. A boycott of the event doesn't do anything. I'm sorry, it doesn't. A boycott of the event does shit. Going to the event and showing solidarity with LGBTQ people at the event, publicly, visibly, while the country has to figure out how it's going to handle that, that gets people talking. I don't know how many times I have to say this, Lauren. Rocking the boat is how you change things. Tone policing is not.
There are people out there who have said, you know what, I always go to the World Cup, it's amazing, but because it's in this country, a country that I cannot support for X, Y, or Z reason, I simply will not go. And if that's your stance or an organization's stance saying, hey, you know, we usually sponsor, but not this time, you know, props to you. You are living by your values. However, that's not what a lot of these people are doing. No, they are still giving their money to Qatar. They are still visiting Qatar. They're not just protesting Qatar. They're demanding that Qatar change its way of life.
Yeah, because its way of life harms people. Who cares? Who cares? You care a lot. You care desperately about making the world more oppressive for people who are gay. That is a thing that you want. I just know.
For them as tourists. And honestly, as someone who actually is anti-imperialism, That kind of bothers me. I know I'm gonna get comments, well, Lauren, are you saying we should think that it's okay to not give women equal rights just because we're tourists? Don't be fooled, this is not about increasing liberty in Qatar. The people who are wearing the rainbow hats, remember, they hate liberty. This is about getting Qatar to bend the knee to their rainbow agenda. And concerning that...
And what does... Okay, so when you use the flowery language, bend the knee to the rainbow agenda. Okay, cool. What does bending the knee look like, and what is the rainbow agenda? If bending the knee looks like increasing human rights within the borders of their country, and the rainbow agenda is asking them to increase the human rights within their country, I would say, yeah, that's okay. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to demand, and that's a perfectly reasonable thing to get. That's just me. I think trying to put things in terms of vague platitudes helps nobody. It actually, the only thing that it really does is it masks everything. Remember when we did the episode earlier about Alex Jones talking about globalists, how he's not okay with somebody coming onto his stream talking about how they like Nazis and how they hate the Jews, but he's perfectly fine saying that he hates the globalists controlling the world when that's basically just flowery language for the Jews. But again, that's the same thing that's going on here. Lauren wants to hide behind the coded language, the LGBTQ mafia, the people bending the knee to the things that they want. But what she doesn't want to do is she doesn't want to literally listen to what those demands are. She just hears that they are demands made by gay people, and that's as far as she's willing to go. That's as far as she's willing to take things. When you could simply instead accept the fact that what's being asked is perfectly reasonable. And if what's being asked is perfectly reasonable, then the problem on hand is not the people asking. The problem on hand is the people denying human rights. But that's enough of her video. I have no energy left for this, that, or the other thing. I have nothing left to give. My spoons are used up. I am tired. Lauren Chen makes me want to play Sonic Frontiers and see the try again screen more often than I honestly would. So with that, as always, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section below, but I, for my part, am hecking the heck off. Insert end of video tagline here.